Cardiologist alerts. Millions of seniors risk their health every morning without realizing it. Every morning, countless individuals awaken, feeling perfectly well, with no indication of distress or discomfort. Consider the experience of a 67-year-old man who rose one Tuesday morning, feeling his usual self, without any chest pain, shortness of breath, or any other warning sign. His routine was automatic. He promptly got out of bed, headed to the bathroom, and, recalling advice he'd encountered about its purported health benefits, turned the shower to cold before stepping in. Tragically, just 20 minutes later, his wife found herself calling emergency services. Such scenarios, where individuals transition from seemingly normal to a life-threatening situation within minutes, are not isolated incidents but rather critical reminders of the hidden vulnerabilities that can emerge during the early hours of the day. Medical professionals have unfortunately witnessed similar situations, some of which have concluded with a far more dire outcome. The incident described was not a random stroke of bad luck or an inexplicable freak accident. Instead, it was the culmination of a series of entirely preventable physiological challenges that millions of people, particularly those over the age of 60, inadvertently face every single morning without ever realizing the inherent risks. Understanding these challenges and learning how to mitigate them is paramount to safeguarding cardiovascular health as we age. The morning hours present a unique and amplified risk to the cardiovascular system, a phenomenon long recognized in medical circles. Research published in reputable journals such as the American Heart Journal consistently demonstrates that cardiac events, including heart attacks, are significantly more prevalent between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. compared to any other period of the day. Specifically, there's an approximate 40% higher risk during these crucial 4 hours. This isn't a minor statistical anomaly. It's a well-documented and consistent pattern that cardiologists have been observing and tracking for many decades. Medical experts even have a specific term for this elevated risk: the morning surge. For individuals who are over 60, this morning surge is not merely an inconvenience. It strikes with greater intensity and rapidity, leaving considerably less margin for error than it might have when they were younger, perhaps in their 40s. The underlying physiological reasons for this heightened vulnerability are complex but clearly understood. While the body rests during sleep, it operates in a kind of low-power mode. Heart rate naturally slows, blood pressure decreases, and the nervous system settles into a state of quiet repose. However, the moment the process of waking begins, even before the eyes fully open, the body initiates a dramatic and rapid shift in its internal gears. It can be likened to abruptly flooring the accelerator in a car that has been idling in a cold garage all night. The engine isn't yet fully primed, the oil hasn't circulated optimally, and yet, the system is immediately demanding maximum performance. Compounding this natural physiological transition are several common habits, many of which people mistakenly believe are healthy or harmless, that can inadvertently create a perilous recipe for a significant cardiac event. A crucial detail that often goes unrecognized is the timing of stress hormone release. Hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline, vital for preparing the body for daily activity, don't wait for one to be fully awake and out of bed. Their levels begin to rise approximately an hour before consciousness is fully achieved. The body is literally in the process of preparing for the demands of the day, while the mind is still navigating the realm of dreams. By the time the alarm sounds and individuals consciously begin to stir, cortisol levels are already rapidly ascending. Adrenaline quickly follows suit, and together these potent hormones exert a substantial, almost simultaneous impact on the heart. Their combined effect is multifaceted. First, the heart rate dramatically increases. Second, blood pressure experiences a notable rise. And third, blood vessels throughout the body begin to constrict. All of these critical cardiovascular changes unfold within minutes, sometimes even seconds. For a healthy 35-year-old, the cardiovascular system typically manages this surge with remarkable efficiency and without undue strain. The blood vessels are generally elastic and responsive, and the heart muscle is robust and strong. However, after the age of 60, the physiological landscape of the cardiovascular system is markedly different. The walls of blood vessels tend to become stiffer and less pliable, meaning they cannot adapt to sudden changes in pressure and flow as quickly or efficiently. Furthermore, there may be an accumulation of plaque within the arteries, a condition often entirely unknown to the individual because it frequently causes no symptoms, leading to a false sense of security. When this powerful hormonal wave impacts an artery containing a vulnerable plaque, the intense force can potentially cause the plaque to crack or rupture. A cracked plaque then triggers the body's natural clotting response, and a clot forming within a coronary artery is the direct mechanism of a heart attack. This is not a worst-case scenario. It represents the fundamental physiological process observed in numerous cardiac events. Even before consuming the first cup of coffee, the heart is already working considerably harder than it was an hour earlier. The actions taken within the immediate 5 minutes following awakening can either significantly assist the heart in managing this increased load or dramatically exacerbate its burden. It is crucial to be aware of one's typical blood pressure readings first thing in the morning. If this information is unknown, it represents a primary area for change and monitoring. Another surprising but critical factor is dehydration. After 7 or 8 hours of sleep, everyone experiences a degree of mild dehydration every single morning, without exception. No water has been consumed overnight, and the body continuously loses moisture through respiration. The consequence of this nocturnal fluid loss is that, by morning, the blood is measurably thicker and more viscous than it was the previous night. To visualize this, consider the heart as a pump and the blood vessels as a network of pipes. When the fluid circulating through these pipes is thin and flows freely, the pump operates with minimal effort. However, when that fluid thickens, the pump must exert considerably more force with every single beat to move the same volume of blood. This increased effort not only places additional strain on the heart, but also makes the blood more prone to clotting. The risk of thrombus formation, a blood clot, is significantly elevated in the early morning. Research consistently confirms that clotting factors in the blood reach their highest activity levels during these hours, highlighting that this timing is not a mere coincidence. This critical combination of a hormonal surge, increased blood viscosity, and stiffened blood vessels all converging at once creates a triple threat for any heart, especially for individuals over 60, and directly contributes to the clustering of strokes and heart attacks within that 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. window. The solution to mitigating the risks posed by morning dehydration is remarkably simple, almost to the point of being overlooked. Consume a glass of room temperature water before undertaking any other activity. This means before coffee, before medications, and certainly before checking a phone. Prioritizing hydration immediately upon waking is one of the lowest effort, yet highest impact habits one can cultivate, yet it is rarely practiced consistently. Keeping a glass of water on the nightstand the night before transforms this into an effortlessly integrated part of the morning routine. In recent years, the trend of cold showers has surged in popularity, propelled by social media narratives featuring individuals enthusiastically embracing ice baths at dawn, championing discipline and mental toughness. While it is undeniable that deliberate cold exposure offers genuine health benefits, these popular videos invariably omit a crucial detail. The timing of such exposure is profoundly important. For anyone over the age of 60, a cold shower first thing in the morning can represent a severe cardiac stressor. The instant cold water makes contact with the skin, the body triggers what is known as the cold shock response. Blood vessels situated near the skin immediately constrict to help conserve core body temperature. Concurrently, the heart rate spikes dramatically and blood pressure sharply elevates. This can involve a systolic pressure jump of 20 or even 30 points within mere seconds, constituting a significant cardiovascular shock. Recalling the physiological state of the body in the early morning, the hormonal surge is already elevating blood pressure, and the blood is already thicker than its usual consistency. Introducing a sudden violent vascular constriction on top of these pre-existing conditions can be extremely hazardous. For a healthy 30-year-old, the body typically manages this shock effectively. However, for a 65-year-old whose arteries may exhibit some degree of stiffness, this abrupt pressure spike can serve as a critical trigger. It can cause a vulnerable plaque to crack, induce a coronary spasm, or provoke a serious arrhythmia. In the case of the individual mentioned at the beginning, the cold shower was identified as the direct trigger for his cardiac event. While his arteries were not in extremely poor condition, they were certainly not pristine, and the combination of the morning surge and the cold shock proved to be an overwhelming burden. A safer approach for those who appreciate the benefits of cold water is to begin the shower with warm water, ideally around body temperature, 37 degrees or 98.6 degrees. This allows the body to gently ease into the transition. If desired, the cold water can be introduced during the final 30 seconds of the shower. By this point, the blood vessels have had time to dilate, blood pressure has had an opportunity to stabilize somewhat, and the intensity of the cold shock response is significantly attenuated. This small adjustment can yield a substantial difference for cardiac safety. The manner in which one exits bed in the morning is another critical, often overlooked aspect of cardiovascular health. Most people transition from a horizontal to a vertical position in a matter of seconds. The alarm sounds, and they are immediately up, feet on the floor, and moving. While the urgency of daily tasks is understood, this rapid transition can be problematic. Physiologically, when lying flat, blood is relatively evenly distributed throughout the body. The instant one stands up, gravity rapidly pulls a significant volume of blood downwards towards the legs and abdomen. The heart must respond immediately by constricting vessels and increasing heart rate to maintain adequate blood pressure to the brain. In a younger individual, this reflex is swift and efficient. However, in older adults, this compensatory reflex slows down, and the blood vessels do not respond with the same alacrity. This phenomenon is known as orthostatic hypotension, where blood pressure can drop by 15, 20, or even 30 points within seconds of standing. Symptoms such as dizziness, lightheadedness, or that gray, foggy feeling upon standing are common indicators. Many individuals over 60 experience this and mistakenly assume it is a normal part of aging. However, orthostatic hypotension is not normal. It is a clear warning signal from the cardiovascular system, and its consequences extend far beyond mere discomfort. It is a leading cause of falls among older adults, and falls represent one of the most serious health risks in this demographic. A significant fall at 65 can initiate a devastating and potentially life-threatening chain of events. For someone with an underlying heart condition, this sudden drop in blood pressure forces the heart to compensate aggressively, drastically increasing its rate and output within seconds. In a vulnerable heart, this vigorous compensatory spike can trigger an arrhythmia, an irregular heartbeat, or, in severe cases, precipitate a major cardiac event. The solution to this issue costs nothing more than an extra 10 seconds. Before fully standing, first sit up on the edge of the bed for a full minute, allowing the feet to dangle. Gentle movements, such as rotating the ankles, can further assist. This gradual approach allows gravity to exert its effect slowly and gives blood pressure the necessary time to adjust before the heart is asked to go from 0 to 60 in an instant. A recommended sequence involves lying for 10 seconds, then sitting for 30 seconds, and finally standing slowly. This seemingly minor change in routine can prevent a fall, avert an arrhythmia, and potentially prevent a far more serious outcome. Another vital consideration pertains to individuals currently taking blood pressure medications, particularly diuretics, sometimes referred to as water pills. While diuretics are highly effective and widely prescribed for reducing fluid volume and thereby lowering blood pressure by helping the kidneys flush excess fluid from the body, there's a crucial aspect that might not always be explicitly discussed. When the kidneys eliminate excess fluid, they also tend to flush out essential minerals, most notably magnesium. Magnesium is not a minor nutrient. It plays a fundamental role in regulating the electrical signals that govern the heartbeat, ensuring a steady rhythm and assisting the heart muscle in relaxing properly between beats. When magnesium levels silently decline, the heart can become electrically unstable, leading to erratic rhythms, palpitations, skipped beats, or even more serious arrhythmias. This can occur without any obvious warning signs. Given that the morning is already a period of heightened cardiac stress, a magnesium deficiency can hit hardest at this critical time. Observations in clinical practice have shown that morning arrhythmias in some patients have completely resolved once a magnesium deficiency was identified and corrected. This issue is more common than generally perceived. Therefore, if one is currently taking a diuretic, it is highly advisable to discuss checking magnesium levels with a healthcare provider during the next appointment. A simple blood test, taking only a couple of minutes, can provide genuinely invaluable information for heart health. It's crucial not to assume everything is fine simply because a specific test has not been performed. Regarding morning exercise, the advice that physical activity is beneficial for the heart at any age is absolutely correct. Exercise remains one of the most effective strategies for maintaining cardiovascular health. However, and this is a significant caveat, the timing and intensity of morning exercise are far more critical than most people realize. In the morning, the body is already experiencing elevated cortisol levels, increased blood pressure, and thicker blood, meaning the heart is already working harder than its baseline. Therefore, immediately transitioning into a vigorous workout without adequate preparation can be problematic. Engaging in strenuous activity in this state, without a proper warm-up, means the heart rate rapidly surges from an already elevated baseline, and blood pressure climbs even higher on top of the already increased morning pressure. Furthermore, the coronary arteries, which may already be slightly constricted due to the morning hormonal surge, are suddenly asked to deliver a dramatically increased supply of blood to a working heart muscle. Research published in medical journals like Circulation has indicated that vigorous exertion in the early morning carries a meaningfully higher risk of triggering a cardiac event in adults over 60. This does not imply that morning exercise should be avoided altogether. Rather, it emphasizes the importance of a gradual approach. It means not engaging in a sprint before a walk, metaphorically speaking. It is advisable to allow the body 20 to 30 minutes to fully wake up, hydrate, and stabilize before undertaking anything strenuous. A gentle walk or slow, deliberate stretching are excellent choices for morning activity. Reserve high-intensity exercise for later in the day, after the body has had ample time to properly shift into an active mode. It is also a valuable self-reflection to consider whether one typically warms up before morning exercise or if the activity begins abruptly. Having now understood why the morning presents such unique cardiovascular risks, it is imperative to move beyond mere awareness and discuss actionable strategies. Knowledge without implementation can lead to undue anxiety. The goal is to provide a concrete, practical plan. This plan is encapsulated in what can be called the 5-minute morning protocol, a series of simple, no-cost, no-equipment steps designed to provide meaningful cardiovascular protection every single morning. Minute 1. Conscious waking. When the alarm signals the start of the day, resist the immediate urge to move. Remain still in bed. Take 3 slow, deep breaths, inhaling deeply through the nose and exhaling fully through the mouth. This simple act consciously activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the calming branch of the autonomic nervous system, thereby initiating a counteraction against the morning cortisol surge before it reaches its peak. Just 3 deliberate breaths represent one of the most powerful and accessible tools for cardiovascular protection, incurring no cost whatsoever. Minute 2. Hydrate before standing. Ensure a glass of room temperature water is kept on the nightstand. Before the feet even touch the floor, drink the entire glass. This crucial step immediately begins to thin the blood, effectively reducing the risk of clotting and providing the cardiovascular system with essential fluid before the various demands of the day commence. Minute 3. Sit before standing. Gently roll to one side, using arm strength to slowly push oneself up into a seated position on the edge of the bed. This transition should not be rushed. While seated, perform slow ankle rotations 5 times in each direction. This specific movement actively engages the muscle pump in the calves, which helps to push blood back up towards the heart, aiding in circulation. Minute 4. Gentle movement. Still in a seated position, begin to incorporate gentle movements. Slowly roll the neck from side to side, shrug the shoulders, and stretch the arms above the head. These actions gradually awaken the muscles and gently increase circulation, allowing the heart rate to rise at a manageable and controlled pace rather than a sudden jolt. Minute 5. Stand slowly. Place both feet flat on the floor, press through the legs, and rise at approximately half of one's normal speed. Once standing, remain still for at least 10 seconds before taking the first step. This pause allows blood pressure to fully confirm its new vertical distribution before any further movement is initiated. This entire protocol, taking a mere 5 minutes, fundamentally changes the morning experience. Instead of the heart being ambushed by sudden demands and physiological stresses, it begins the day protected and supported. It's vital to reflect on this for a moment. None of what has been described is exotic, rare, or complex. These situations, the dangers and the simple solutions, are occurring in countless homes every single morning. To individuals who feel completely fine and are entirely unaware of the underlying risks. This unawareness is particularly striking. After years of clinical experience, the most impactful cases are rarely the intricately complex ones, but rather those that were entirely preventable. The 68-year-old retired teacher who experienced a cardiac event simply getting out of bed on a Wednesday morning, or the 71-year-old grandfather who stepped into a cold shower and never stepped back out. These individuals were not traditionally sick people. They were simply unaware of the critical information now being shared. The most crucial message is that the morning danger zone is undeniably real, and the scientific research supporting this is unambiguous. However, it is also one of the most manageable risks in the entire field of cardiovascular medicine. Unlike genetic predispositions or decades of dietary history, a morning routine is something that can be altered immediately, even this afternoon before tomorrow's alarm sounds. There is no need for surgery or new prescriptions. All that is required are 5 minutes and the invaluable information now possessed. The individual who was mentioned at the beginning, the 67-year-old, thankfully made a full recovery. When he returned for a follow-up visit 3 months later, his initial question resonated deeply. Why didn't anyone tell me this before? That profound question underscores the importance of disseminating this knowledge. To provide a concrete plan, here are the 5 essential actions to remember and implement. Starting tomorrow morning. First, before moving a single muscle, take 3 slow, deep breaths to allow the nervous system to gently transition out of sleep mode before the heart is asked to perform. Second, drink a full glass of room temperature water before the feet touch the floor. Keep it on the nightstand tonight to make it an effortless habit. Third, sit on the edge of the bed for a full minute before standing, rotating the ankles to allow blood pressure to stabilize. Fourth, if currently taking a diuretic, ask a healthcare provider to check magnesium levels during the next visit. A simple blood test can be profoundly informative. Fifth, if exercising in the morning, allow the body at least 20 minutes to wake up before increasing intensity. Always walk before running in every scenario. Consider which of these habits are already part of a routine and which come as the biggest surprise. Sharing these insights helps guide further discussions on vital health topics. If this information has proven useful, consider sharing it with others, not for personal gain, but for those in your life who may be unknowingly engaging in these risky morning behaviors. They may not yet realize they need this information, but you do. And that is precisely why this guidance is being provided. Prioritize and care for the heart. It tirelessly works every minute of every day without demanding anything in return. Giving it 5 protective minutes in the morning is a fair and beneficial exchange starting tomorrow. It is important to remember that all information shared is based on published cardiovascular research and extensive clinical experience. However, every individual's health situation is unique. Before making any changes to medications, exercise routines, or morning habits, it is always crucial to consult with one's personal physician. They possess knowledge of individual medical history and can provide tailored advice. This information serves as education, not a prescription, and should be used as a valuable starting point for discussions with a trusted healthcare provider.